Hey, you guys, for reading workshop today, we are going to focus on when characters act out of character, we take notice. And what that means is sometimes we expect a character to act a certain way. And when they do something differently, it kind of is like an alarm clock in our head and makes us say, why did they just do that? Because it's different. And that's what we want to notice, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So before we start with today's teaching point, let's take a minute and review, because we've learned a lot about reading fictional books and about growing our ideas about characters. I mean, think about how much we've learned about characters in the last 2 weeks. It's been quite a bit. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment, and I just want you to reflect and think back on the things that you've learned about character and about reading fictional books. And I want you to list 3 things that you have learned so far. Now that you've done that, I was sitting there thinking for a minute myself about the things that I've learned about characters just while teaching this. I've learned how to show empathy for characters. Do you remember when we did that? We were looking at character traits, and we're really thinking about the character and trying to understand their feeling. I also learned that empathy and predicting go hand in hand together. And if I want to make a really good prediction, I need to be a very empathetic reader, understanding the character, putting myself in their shoes. And then the third thing that I learned is that going back and marking in those strong passages, those parts of the story that were really powerful, that made me feel something, because strong passages evoke emotion. And I want to remember that feeling. I want to go back to those passages to remember those things. So those are 3 things that I learned myself about fictional books and about growing ideas about characters. So that brings us to today's teaching point, and that it is important to know that sometimes a character can act in a real surprising way. And when this happens, we ask ourselves one question. Take a look around the screen. What do you think that question is? If you answered why, good job. If you didn't answer why, look at the screen. That's all you need to do. So let's think about this. What does this really mean when characters act out of character? We take notice. Well, let me share with you a little real life story. I was on the L train. I was downtown Chicago. I was visiting my friend back in college. He went to the Illinois Institute of Technology right by Sox Park. And we were on the L train. We were heading downtown. And just a normal day in Chicago, people are getting on the train and they're crabby and they're stressed out. No one's moving for you. No one says, excuse me. No eye contact. A lot of grunting. Just a typical miserable day in Chicago, right? Always puts a smile on my face. There were these kids from St. Ignatius. They were getting on the train, obviously heading downtown, and they were being really quiet. No one's saying anything. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, we're on the train. No one's doing anything. These kids, it was like a flash mob. They break out into dance moves. They're doing flips down the aisle. They were doing chin-ups. They were doing all these like crazy push-ups that I couldn't do, and I'm pretty good at those. They were breakdancing. Of course, this was back in the 80s, my heyday. Hello, pop collar, still got it going on. But it was mind-blowing. The one thing I realized is I was wondering why they did that. I remember I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, why do you think they did that? And of course, we had all kinds of theories that came out. And we thought that they were just looking for attention, that they were trying to annoy the passengers on the train. But I really personally thought that they were trying to put people in a good mood. And they were trying to give people a different view of their lives. And that their lives weren't always supposed to be miserable. And you shouldn't be grumpy and you shouldn't be unhappy. But live for those small moments. And it was that moment that I remember most in my life, because they put a smile on my face. And that's when I realized that those characters, they did something that was completely uncharacteristic of everyone else their age, even my age, and that was breaking out in those crazy dance moves on the middle of the L train down the aisles on our way downtown. So now I want you to do me a favor, because I want you to kind of participate in this lesson that I'm giving you. I want you to take a moment. I want you to think of a time in your own reading book when a character, it could be any character, it doesn't have to be the main character, acted in a way that surprised you. That means they acted in a way that was uncharacteristic of them. If they are a character who is normally someone who would never yell at another person, and then all of a sudden, in a part of the story, they start screaming at somebody, that's uncharacteristic of that character. And what I want you to do is ask yourself why, but I want you to list that down. Now, if you're having trouble thinking of one of your own from your own book, then think about our read aloud book, Among the Hidden. Did Luke do something that surprised you? Was there something that was uncharacteristic of Luke that he did that he would never have done before? Was there something else that another character had done? So you have two options here. You can either use your own independent reading book and come up with an uncharacteristic moment that one of your own characters did, or use our read aloud. So take a moment, think of that, and please share it with us. So what is it that I want you to accomplish today in Reading Workshop? Well, this is where I'm going to let you take a little bit of control of your own learning. Because we've learned so many things that readers need to do to grow powerful ideas, we've had some amazing lessons over the week. And I want you to really use these lessons. And I want to make sure that you're using them and remembering them. So right now, I want you to think of our past lessons in Reading Workshop and tell me what you will accomplish in reading today. Of course, whatever you decide, you need to support with evidence by the end of Reading Workshop by using Post-it notes. You're going to tell me what was your focus for today, and then you're going to provide evidence that you've done it. Now remember, your focus should not be how many pages you are going to read, but instead it should be about what lessons from the past will you be working on to become a stronger reader. This is time for you to take responsibility for your learning and to choose what it is that you want to focus on. I know me as a person, I like to focus on things that I had a hard time with because it makes me better. You may want to choose the same type of thing. You may choose an area where you thought that you didn't do too well in, that you want to improve on. Or you may want to work on something that you were really good with because you enjoyed that part. Either way is going to be up to you today. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing what you wanted to work on today and what evidence you have to back it up.